Well, welcome everybody. So this service today is all about interfaith in community. So I hope to deliver a little bit of me, what I'm all about as a One Spirit minister, and Aberdeen Interfaith and the work I do there and the work Aberdeen Interfaith do themselves. So just a little bit of information and how community works, how interfaith works in community. So, if somebody would like to light the chalice. Just a few words. What calls us is often beyond our understanding. What inspires us leads us into a new awareness. What comforts us is love. Let us now seek all these things as we explore the interrelationship of interfaith in our community and how that may touch our own understanding. So, I am One Spirit minister with the One Spirit Interfaith Foundation. So who are One Spirit and what is an interfaith minister? A question I often get asked, which is quite sometimes difficult to define other than the particulars from the One Spirit kind of ethos. So I'm going to try and explain that today and hopefully get a better understanding of who I am and what I am about. So who are One Spirit? One key aspect that sets One Spirit apart from other organisations is the spiritual development and ministry training. Each year, One Spirit welcomes students who feel called to explore a spiritual role in today's ever-changing world. Our curriculum emphasises the need for serving people of all faiths and none, cultivating our inner capacity for peace and use of these skills to develop inner leadership. Founded in London in 1996, One Spirit Interfaith Foundation is a UK educational charity offering training to open-hearted adults, exploring interfaith ministry, spiritual leadership, sacred activism, ritual, spiritual counselling, and the world's many faith paths. We join in the awakening of an inclusive global spirituality in ourselves and in the world through education and enabling adults to serve people of all faiths in our diverse communities. We express our ministries in a wide variety of ways. Many are involved in conducting weddings and funerals and blessings ceremonies as One Spirit Interfaith ministers or celebrants. Some have started their own centres, worship communities and spiritual education programs. Others tend more towards offering spiritual accompaniment privately or in hospitals, hospices, prisons, colleges and schools. Some have their calling, whether expressed in explicitly spiritual terms or not, into business training, into corporate multinationals, and into peacemaking projects, and into the whole passage of family and community life, including parenting. Many have brought increased inspiration to their work as artists, writers and musicians. And for some, the result of the training has been a more authentic expression of who they are, and a deeper sharing of their spirituality with others in their everyday lives. While using the title Reverend, it is more a symbol to remind myself to have reverence for life as opposed to being a status. And so the title is not always used in everyday situations. Our ministry may look very different depending on our calling. We don't proselytise on behalf of any one religion, but respect and honour them all, We are bound by a code of ethics which represents our truth, fully inclusive, honours all, and maintains respect. So I'm going to play a little video which was filmed last year at our ordination. So it gives you a flavour of, these are some of the people I was training with. It gives you an idea of their thoughts about the training.
I think the best bit of the course for me has been the online sacred community, which was quite amazing. That you could get 23 people in one square room sharing energy in such a way to benefit and deepen you to get the connectedness and the relational. That was amazing. Yeah.
It feels like there was an inevitability about it. I've been a spiritual seeker my whole life, and I've had my own faith, my own practice, but I was always curious about people from other walks of life, and particularly people that saw themselves perhaps as spiritual but not religious, and I wanted to be able to connect with people like that as well, and to expand my own horizons, to expand my own sense of what truth is, and to be able to, like I said earlier, to connect with people from all different walks of life, and with a bit more understanding of where they're coming from and where they are.
I had a moving experience in my previous role that sort of gave me a calling to actually try and find some spiritual sort of connection. So after a soul-searching sort of period of time, I actually came across One Spirit, and I felt that would fit the criteria.
Well, I've enjoyed everything, but I think the introspection, self-investigation is probably the most important part of the journey. I think without that, it would just be knowledge. You would just be gaining knowledge. So I really enjoyed that part, and the community. I met so many beautiful, loving souls, and there's been this very strong sense of commitment and holding space for each other and companionship. I've really enjoyed that.
Just a few reflections. As you can see, everybody enjoyed doing the course, and we look very deeply into our own world, into our own lives, and we reconcile ourselves with what's happened in the past, and so that we can bring that forward to other people as we connect with the different communities and different people in different ways. So it's an important part of the process is to do this. So with that, we can go into our first hymn, which is Ours is a Town for Everyone.
Amen.
So faith and what do I believe? To give you a brief understanding of where I am, what I'm at, and what I believe. So I undertook the training to learn how to be in the world in the same way that I felt inside within. I like the term edge walker, as I walk on the edge of every faith path. This means that I'm not affiliated with any one faith path. I give my reference to all of life, whether religious or not. My aim is to seek the light and spirit that is within all things and share that acknowledgement with all. And so I connect in various ways, keeping in mind that all we perceive are symbols of our understanding, remembering and experience. So if we split these into three parts, the body. I have a spiritual practice which starts in the mornings, sometimes at 3 a.m, because I wake for some reason at 3 o'clock in the morning. But mostly between 6 and 7. This involves prayer, meditation, and movement, sometimes a bit of Tai Chi or Qigong. I do a bit of writing, maybe a bit of journaling, and an intention for the day ahead. Throughout the day, I may focus my attention for peace in the world and for others who I may encounter, as being mindful is a large part of my practice. I eat what is described as a Taoist diet, which is very complicated to describe. It doesn't really fall into any particular category. It's not like straightforward vegetarian or vegan, or it's a little bit more complicated. It's a Taoist diet which has no meat, or I choose not to eat that. It abstains from dairy, yeast, caffeine, alcohol, and refined sugars, white flour, and as far as possible processed foods. This is quite often very difficult and a bit of a challenge, but I like a challenge, and it opens me up to a different world of food. I just love food. So. But I don't beat myself up about it, which is an important thing. Even though this practice has a particular way of being for me, I try not to be negative even to myself. Otherwise, it can put me off or put others off, as that carries through to connection and people I speak with. If offered, I would eat whatever is given out of respect. Any preparation of food should be done in a state of love and positive intention. And I believe that carries through as other people eat what I maybe make or offer. I share my time with others in many different ways, through general conversation, work, play, worship, counselling, ceremony, and ritual. Meeting people wherever and however they are in the world is key to harmony and connection. I feel comfortable in a church, a mosque, a synagogue, temple, or meeting place, or somebody's home. So that very briefly describes the body part of it, the mind. The mind is the key to opening myself to the truth of all things and bringing healing to myself and to the world. This is why prayer and meditation becomes an important part of my practice. All creation starts with a thought, and what you experience is a manifestation of that. So I believe. Whether this be an individual thought or a collective idea. Ultimately, I believe in one mind which is in all things and not restricted to one particular person. In this way, our thoughts are just as real as our physical interactions. And the soul, described in many ways, I like to think of this more as a spirit within. This is the oneness of all, as most people may know it as God, consciousness, or just love. Herein lies the truth, or my truth, where peace, love, and joy resides. You will find this in humanity, every single person, the world, and everything contained within it. Hell, for me, is something of our own making, and heaven is an experience where we find our true selves. So that sums up very briefly the mind, body, soul kind of perspective in which I try believing, and I try and bring to my connection whoever I'm speaking with. So my work, I reach out to different communities in the hope that the world in which I am part of is made better by my actions. I do this through my work with Aberdeen Interfaith, reaching out to different faith groups, helping refugees and asylum seekers, through government conversations about faith and belief, third sector meetings, about New Scots, sharing my story with different meditative techniques, holding ceremonies, supporting my One Spirit community, as well as being a family man, a friend to those I meet along the way. So One Spirit has a mission statement which I try and keep to. Our mission is to work towards evolving consciousness in the world by facilitating open-hearted people to awaken to inner leadership and their capacity for forgiveness, reconciliation and peacemaking. Our vision is a world in which humanity awakens into an inclusive global spirituality that encompasses us all in the field of love and life. And our touchstones are inclusivity, compassion, authenticity, and spiritual transformation. I'm going to read to you now. It's which is a One Spirit prayer, which was delivered to us by our core tutor, Annie Heppenstall. And I just love this because it just represents the kind of thing in which I want to represent. May my purpose align with all that work for peace. My heart and mind align to global awakening, that I may see all in the field of love, freeing my inner authority to serve and to love, inclusive and authentic, compassionate and transformative, true to the spirit we share in humanity. So may it be. And next is a poem by Swami Vivekananda. And this again just represents who I am, and it's just a lovely interfaith poem. I shall go to the mosque of the Muslim. I shall enter the Christian church and kneel before the crucifix. I shall enter the Buddhist temple and take refuge in the Buddha. I shall go into the forest and sit down in meditation with the Hindu. In addition, I shall keep my heart open for all that may come in the future. Is God's book finished, or is revelation still ongoing? Salutations to all the prophets of the past, to all the great ones of the present, and to all that are to come in the future. Which leads us nicely into our next hymn. We would be one. Aberdeen Interfaith. So, in the community. Aberdeen Interfaith is part of Interfaith Scotland and has no paid members as yet. Having recently been voted as Vice Chairman, I devote my time to the tremendous work that has been done so far in actively promoting a world community within our own area. And I don't know if you can see that in the logo it's made of 15 spaces which represent some of the major world religions. But of course there's not enough room to include all of them, and so one space is left unfilled to represent all of the faiths and belief systems, which could be added so as to be fully inclusive. So, just like one spirit, that space there could nicely fit for us as a one spirit minister. There are many events that are organised independently in each faith path. These are often sent to the group and, where possible, are supported by members of the faith groups. We meet every month, coming together to learn, discuss, and have open discussions about current events, what we can do to show support as an interfaith group in the community. So this next bit is taken from the website. Aberdeen Interfaith Group provides a positive and safe space to meet and accept our common humanity, respect our differences, and share our wish for a more peaceful, harmonious world. Our purpose can be summarised as follows: to gain more knowledge about those people we live alongside in our modern global world, thus leading to a more peaceful, cohesive community. To encourage and enable open-minded dialogue and cooperation between faith and belief groups. To reflect and enhance the friendship and support that exists between most people, counteracting the interreligious conflict often shown in our media. So sometimes there are world events that warrant our concern and input as it affects our communities in our local areas, such as the current situation between Palestine and Gaza. People can get caught up in the politics and wars that are happening elsewhere, and this has a direct influence on how people view other people who are from these countries or are practicing the same faith as these countries. Humanity can often judge and label people without just cause. Just like we are all individual people with our own thoughts and ideas, people of faith also have different ideas about current events. Interfaith relationships and friendships can break down unless we come together and unite. Well, this has been seen in our communities, and it does frighten people and cause people to withdraw and not connect and communicate in the same way, for fear of some kind of reprisal. And because of social media and things like this, you will get different sides of the story, and this fuels different people's ideas of what is right and wrong, and what should be happening and should not. And by coming together as a faith group, we try and overcome these challenges by showing our solidarity together in the community. So I'm going to go through a list of activities now on Aberdeen Interfaith. This is just a small list because we'll be a long time if I was to go through. But this is in the last year. Aberdeen Interfaith celebrated their 30th anniversary. Jean and Sue, you were there. It was a wonderful evening at the townhouse in Aberdeen. As a group, we've written booklets and interfaith stories and on anxiety and how to cope with anxiety. We visited places of worship as a group together. We've come and visited different places synagogues, meeting places, and such like. Support feeding homes at St Mary's Church at Cathedral. So we did this at Christmas and just recently at Easter, which was quite successful. Had quite a lot of people turn up, and we had a lot of helpers, and we as a group helped out in that respect. Supporting local initiatives like the Toy Garden Project. And this was a group of people who decided that they was going to use a little bit of land which was in the middle of all the houses that were surrounding this little bit of land. And they created a wonderful garden where people can sit and enjoy a little bit of nature in the built-up area, because it's sometimes hard for people to get to places like this. So that was a wonderful day. A mental health day at the Varanpunya Centre, the Buddhist place in West Hill. And this is where it was all about anxiety and how we cope with it through mindfulness in different ways in our different faith paths. And that was very, very much welcomed as individuals spoke about their work and their ideas and how they cope with anxiety on a daily basis. And so that book has gone on, or that booklet has gone on to be handed out and brought to different events and groups. And it seems to be quite successful. Visiting dignitaries such as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, which was a recent thing. Gurdwara visit, an iftar evening with councillors and various community representatives. This was, the theme of that was all about fasting from different faith groups and how people use that in their religious day-to-day practices. So it was really information and how different groups operate with their fasting, or the way they fast, which was very interesting and very much welcomed by all the people there. A faith and belief event at the RGC, the first interfaith event in the school. So this was brought together and seen a need for education and a chance for students to go along and ask questions and get an idea of different faith and belief groups, and to meet these people, these faces of these communities, different communities. And it was quite successful for those that came. We had a few people asking questions, and I went along as a One Spirit minister, but also as my leaning is towards Taoism, and it wasn't represented there, so I represented Taoism at that event, which was quite nice. Also participating in Scottish Parliament roundtable discussions on freedom of faith and belief. This is something we've been doing recently. Again, where different communities can come together and express their difficulties that they're having in their communities and connecting with other people, and so it's a chance that we can put for us to put that forward to the government, who can then take that and listen and take that forward to their other meetings. So it's quite important to have a voice and at all different levels, and Aberdeen Interfaith try and do this in different ways. So it's a heartfelt drive for these individuals who are not getting paid. It's their time spent not only with their own faith paths, but as a group coming together to make a common community. So as I say, so just a small example to give you an idea of what we do. Now this is much greater, of course. There's lots of planning involved in each of these events, and ideas which are brought and and come to pass. And it takes a lot of cooperation between each other, and we support each other very well. We often apply for funding to help with different projects and to provide resources. Of course, this is always difficult because everybody's always got projects on the go and wanting to do different things, and there's only so much time and effort we can give to this. But our recent endeavour has been to gain support for the refugee event, which is in June. So here's a picture here of refugees and asylum seekers, or what we like to call new Scots, as they have come over here to find refuge, and some of them may stop, some of them may want to go back home, but quite often they do want to go back home when it is safe. They have quite often suffered many arduous journeys and been sent out from their homes, away from their families, because of what they believe. A change of faith can sometimes be quite difficult, especially within a community who are strong in their belief and do not bend or are not fully inclusive, and so they feel they have to flee for one reason or another. And so Scotland is, as a whole, is more accommodating to this than a lot of other places, as you'll see a little bit later. So some of the things we've been involved in is You, Me and a Cup of Tea. We've done this in various places around Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, where we open a space for refugees to come, bring a little bit of music, a little bit of food, share with local community, and share a story, and in a way to help people to understand where they're coming from, who they are, and also to understand the community they live in, or they now live in. This has been done in Ellen, in Elgin, as well as Aberdeen, Davitt, and Fraserburgh, and been quite successful in these events. We've helped provide Mother's Day cakes for refugees in Shore Hotel. Obviously, a lot of these are young men away from their mothers, and so there's a lot of ladies who make cakes, and we brought them to the Shore Hotel. It was very welcome. A film night from the Elric Hotel in West Hill. Collecting clothes, bags and equipment. A lot of these refugees come with nothing. They get given some basic equipment, sandals, and sometimes in the middle of winter we see them coming to places and events with just sandals, freezing cold. They don't even, some of them don't even have a coat. But there's a charity called ARC, and there's a woman there, Jane, who's very driven, and I would call her a bit of a saint. She hasn't got a particular faith per se, but she is driven to give refugees a little bit of something. So she tries to meet with every refugee in Aberdeen within the first 24 hours to make sure that they have some decent pair of shoes and some underwear and some toothbrush and basic equipment which we might take for granted. It's not a lot, but it gives them a little bit more of a home comfort. Volunteering at Aberdeen North Food Bank. We recently picked up some refugees from the Patio Hotel, and we took them along to the food bank. And the food bank needs volunteers to sort out all the food. Obviously, it goes by date. You can imagine the amount of food they receive is humongous, and so to sort that out needs a lot of help. So we took a few people along and helped to put all these to different categories so it can be used in a date order. Refugees want to help the communities and they need to be seen to help. So they find it important. They want to be busy, they want to be of use, and they want to work. And so this is one way in which they can help. Meetings from different faith paths on how to help New Scots. There's been meetings all over Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire. And these are usually made of different community groups, different church groups, who, realising that they have these people that are in their communities, and to be fully inclusive and to help, they want to know what can we do, you know, and coming together at these events gives them some idea of what it is that they can do, not just in their own groups, but as a whole community. There are a third sector meeting concerning New Scots. This is a collaboration of different groups from such as Mears and Aberdeen Interfaith and ARC and lots of charity groups and people from the council. But they all work independently with all different ideas, they all have a particular job to do, but there's no quite often cohesion or speaking with each other. And so it can be disjointed at times. And so these events or these meetings come together to try and give a little bit of structure and information sharing. We as Aberdeen Interfaith might not bring a lot to them meetings, but we gain a lot of information out of them. And of course, in our different faith groups, we are connected to thousands and thousands of different people across Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire who have New Scots living amongst us and who we want to help in some way. So it gives us information in which we can approach these subjects and people and ideas. We often help in language cafes. One of the biggest things that refugees want is to be able to communicate, speak English, and be of use, and they can't be of use unless they can speak English. And it's of utmost importance for them to do that. So we help wherever we can in that respect. So they're always wanting volunteers. We don't necessarily know how to help people speak English better, but there's always people who are willing to do that. And there are ways in which, or there's courses in which allow people to learn that skill to teach. So I'm going to show you a video now, which this was from last year from Hamza Youssef, talking about Interfaith Scotland.
I am delighted that the theme of Scottish Interfaith Week this year reflects one of the central missions of my government: community. Scotland has one of the strongest interfaith traditions in the world. In Scotland, our faith communities welcome each other into their places of worship. Our communities share food, song, and prayer with one another. We have pioneered what it means to live in solidarity. Solidarity that goes far beyond tolerance. Crucially, it embraces love. As always, the wide variety of events taking place this week speak to hard work, creativity, and unity of faith communities across Scotland. So I'd like to thank Interfaith Scotland for putting together another fantastic programme of events. And let's continue to build ever closer communities together as a beacon of interfaith harmony for all to see.
He acknowledges Interfaith Scotland and the work that's happening. And I think it's more important in these days and times where there is unsettling and unrest amongst different communities. So what's coming next for Aberdeen Interfaith? Well, there's lots of things being planned or in the planning. But here's just a few things in which we are going to be doing in the next short while. So, Jesus House Film Night on the 21st of April. So again, this is helping refugees have something to do, really. They're stuck in a hotel all the time, or wherever they're at, and that doesn't bode well for their mental health. They need to be out into community and doing things. So this is just another way of bringing people out from where they are at and coming to do something different. Mindfulness with the theme of movement at the Varapunya Centre in West Hill on the 18th of May. And I shall be doing a little bit of Tai Chi, Qigong, for anybody who might fancy doing a little bit of movement. And in June we have what's called You, Me and a Game of Sport, where again this is in the middle of Refugee Week. So we're holding events on the 17th and 18th and 21st in different sports halls around Aberdeen, where refugees can come together with the people in the community and play sport together. It is one of the uniting things across the world. Sport is a very big part of people's social life and everyday life, and much across the world. And so we'll be doing things like squash, badminton, maybe tennis, a bit of anything to do with movement, really. And so then just a few things that's in the pipeline, as well as many other things that we're trying to come together and organise. Which leads us into our final hymn here, Our World is One. So we come to the end of the service now. Would somebody like to put out the candle? Our understanding of interfaith is now a little expanded, and we see a glimmer of hope in the possibilities of our unity, as we all seek peace and love within our own lives. May we depart knowing that there are people working towards this goal, and as our own lives are defined by our actions, may our desire to see a better world be manifest. Thank you.